we get down to AYP. I was having a lot more fun before now.
It's going to get better.
We continue to see the low mastery scores for our students with disabilities and our low socioeconomic group, and I think that's something that's happening countywide. There's a gap in reading between boys and girls, and we have spent library money trying to purchase appropriate reading material for boys. I was really concerned about my 4th and 5th grade scores, but when Mr. Midkiff and I had a conversation, he told me that it was a countywide problem. So, no, we did not meet AYP, but this is what we did. We showed more growth on the West test than any other school in the county. We showed a 2.8% growth. I've already mentioned the accomplishments of the 3rd grade. The 4th grade scored higher than the county in social studies, or higher than the state in social studies, and tied the county in science. The 5th grade's mean score in math was only 5 points below the state. The 6th grade outscored the county average on every test but one, and they were 1 point down on reading language arts. The 7th grade outscored the state mean by 4 in math, was 1 behind the state in social studies, scored higher than the county average in reading language arts and science. The 8th grade scored higher than the county average on every test and was only 1 point behind the mean score of the state in social studies. The ACT Explore test showed that 58% of our 8th grade students were college ready in English. The growth model, which was just released by the state, here's some comparisons with it. In math, Duval scored 44.17. The county scored 36.50, and the state scored 46.65. You can see we're 2% below the state. Reading language arts, Duval was at 41.02. The county was at 38.55. The state was at 48.43. Science, Duval was at 38.82. The county was at 32.26. The state was at 40.75. We were, again, less than 2% behind the state. Social studies, Duval was 36.21. The county was 29.83. And the state average was 36.80. So about 0.59 below the state. For the last 3 years, our math students have won math field day. Last year in Lincoln County, there were 3 people that won the Golden Horseshoe. Duval had 2 of those students. So, you know, we have lots of accomplishments. We continue to grow. And I feel like that when we meet AYP, we can be a school of excellence here. How do we meet AYP? Well, first of all, we're using critical skills. What we did is we identified 3rd and 8th graders who needed extra help. In the 3rd grade, we had 9 students that needed extra help in language RLA, and we had 7 that needed help in math. In the 8th grade, we had 14 in RLA and 5 that needed help in math. On top of scheduling those 3rd and 8th graders for intervention, we also scheduled the 1st, kindergarten, 2nd, 4th, and 5th grade students that were behind in reading with our interventionists. Now, our interventionist is Amy Limble. Every student that Amy Limble worked with last year showed growth on benchmarks and the West test. I was very fortunate to get a grant, and when I realized that because of finances that our interventionist was going to be cut, I had some plans for some outside stuff, and I said, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to do something that directly touches my kids. And so I was able to put $14,000 towards Ms. Limble's salary as an interventionist, because for me, that's more bang for the buck. We also have Read 180 for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. So that's another program that helps catch kids up. As far as every teacher, we're going to continue to analyze data and plan accordingly. The question has come to me several times, what do I think about the morning data analysis? And so I'm going to be very honest, I was gung-ho in the beginning. I'm now not gung-ho. I think that only an hour in the morning, it rushes the teachers to get through it. I think it makes it difficult on parents. We are trying to provide meaningful experiences for the kids that come in early. In my opinion, it will be much more effective in the evening every other week. That's my opinion. We are still continuing to meet. We've put a planning component in it, but sometimes it's so rushed to do it in an hour. Is it better than not having it at all? Absolutely. But I think that my teachers, Ms. Wickline said something along the lines, correct me if I'm wrong, that it kind of got us out of sync. It just, anything else, Teresa?
Just the routine and the daily schedule. It was just very difficult on a Wednesday that day. Every week.
It's true. It's the same way in my classroom. That whole day throws us off.
The change of schedule is really hard on young children.
It's hard on middle school.
They get used to a certain schedule, and then you're changing their whole routine. They eat at a different time. Everything's different, and it's a lot harder on the kids than we probably thought it was going to be.
And we had to try it, and, I commend the board for allowing us to try it, but I'm continuing to ask that question, and, I certainly, think that, we can look at it and reevaluate it, but that is, of course, I'm always here to represent my teachers, and that's the things that they say to me, so I wanted to share that with you all. We are using research-based strategies, and of course, from the Learning Focus program, we got a lot of research-based strategies. This slide shows you how we're using technology. Except when you have the breakdown of equipment or the internet, our teachers are very dependent on technology. We are communicating with parents and involving them. A student said to me when I first came here, I like that you always have something for us to look forward to. Students have to want to be at school, and they should be rewarded for doing their best. So every day I look for ways to motivate and encourage our students and our staff. Once again, I have the pleasure of working with what I consider to be a top-notch staff. And these are people that truly care about kids, that have high expectations for students, and they challenge them every day in the classroom. I would like to introduce to you our LSIC President, Ms. Jennifer Pollard.
Hello.
And you all might know her as Teresa Ryan's sister.
Or Jennifer Hager previously. And one of the things that the LSIC has discussed as far as something that we here at Duval need, the loss of a full-time middle school counselor has affected the developmental guidance program. With a national emphasis on bullying that we see, we would like to see the counselor position return to 5 days a week instead of the 3.
I have to say that having a middle school counselor 3 days a week has put an undue stress on Miss Sonia. She is, thank goodness, right next door to me, which makes it very convenient for me to run over there when I have a middle school issue and Mr. Lambert's not here. I felt we had a really strong developmental guidance program for our elementary kids, and it's just making, it's just taking away from what we need to do as far as character development in the middle school. That's all I'm going to ask you for, because I'm realistic and I understand that it's tough times. As far as facility needs, I'm going to ask you for very little. The Board of Risk came in and they gave us a list of a few things that needed addressed. Like one of them was that we had boxes too close to the ceiling. And I'm like, how close is too close? And they said they have to be within 18 inches. And I said, had I known that, we would have had no boxes within 18 inches. So, you know, I'm learning something new every day. So that was an easy fix. The one thing that they did say is that they needed to repair the sidewalk with the cracks and it's blacktopped. You know, I would love to see a cement sidewalk up the front. Most of you are aware that they're getting ready to do the memorial here. I talked to Bruce Hager today. And, you know, I think that, and I'm on the hunt of another grant. And I would like to be able to put the cement walk up the front, me put in some money from a grant that I'm counting on getting, and connect our sidewalk so that we have a walking track, because we do really have a lot of limited space here. We have 107, in pretty weather, we have 170 kids on the front yard during this last, one of our 4 lunches. So, you know, I think that if at all possible, that would be something I'd love to see done in the summer. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Board members? Got it? Look. Well, we do want to thank you for your hospitality in this place.
You're welcome.
Hard for me to call you this way. I kind of catch myself all the time. But you're doing a very good job. We can see your planning that's taking place. You've got a good staff, a good teams to work with, and I think we're seeing the results. That's cool. We know you have needs, and we'll take those into consideration. We appreciate you having us.
And you know, I have awesome students, right? Absolutely. Thank you guys for
Just
coming
took
out.
that for granted. Thanks a lot.
We can't wait to train the students to the high school.
So we have more,